Speaker.
Hello guys, welcome to this YouTube tutorial. My name is Kelvin. I'm a graphic designer, obviously. In this tutorial, we're going to make another flyer. So the main purpose of this tutorial is not actually to teach you on how to make this flyer, but how certain tools are used and some of the things I've learned throughout my graphic designing career. Alright, so here's what we're going to work from. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start up with a layout. A layout is more like a foundation of the flyer on how it's going to look and how we're going to place every information on it. So we're going to start with the layout. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a very nice shape here. Just make it white like that, and then just say the fill out, and then add the stroke. Let's change the color for the stroke, something like white, and let's see the stroke how big it is. Okay, it's a little bit small. Let's make it 5. Yeah, something like that is okay. All right, so now let's make a round shape. All right, and then let's just say click here and then make a round shape like that. So make sure it's centered like so. All right, so and then let's drag this over here, just hold these two and then duplicate them down, something like this. So duplicating, you just hold Alt on your keyboard and then drag it down, like when you hold Alt on the keyboard and then you drag it down, something like this. It's useful. Alright, and then for the stroke, every stroke here we're going to say in, like inside, right? So it's going to be inside like that. Alright, and then for the round shape it's going to be out. Alright, it's going to be out like that. Alright, and then now just click here and then Alt Control on your keyboard and then Alt, and then just click inside every round shape here. Pa, 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 and then you should have something like this. So select everything here and then just group, Control G on your keyboard, and then add layer mask, something like this. So it should remain with something like this. Second step, we're going to make another line out like that. So we're just going to duplicate this. Let's just Control merge this, and then let's delete this, drag it. All right, just drag it on the recycle bin and then Control, and then just make it a bit smaller like this. Next stage, now we're going to add a round shape here. And then it should be maybe centered. Let's see. Okay, centered. So once it's centered, let's make a selection from this, and then let's just add a new group, and then inside this group just drag this inside, right? And then just say add a group layer mask here, and then just say background texture, maybe background anything. So you can name it anything you want, but for me I'll just call it background text, and then just go here and then say inside, right? Just say inside here. The stroke should be inside because there is a layer mask, so it won't be visible on the outside because the layer mask is working within inside here. So another thing that we're going to do is add, so we can go to the background or we can add the information, but for now let's focus more on the background before we go adding information. So we're just going to duplicate this, right? Duplicate it, and the one below here just say stroke out, and then go on fill, add white. So when you add white, you can go on any side, maybe Pinterest or Freepik, Envato. Just download any animal pattern, but I have my own patterns here. I downloaded them from Envato Elements. So just select something sexy, something like this, and then just say smaller like that, or something like this should be fine, right? All right, and then let's now change the background. So we are going with this as the background. All right, just drag it up like that, we've seen there is a lot of contrast and the highlights are only more prominent on the buttons. So one thing we're going to do is we're going to use the curves and then neutralize everything. So what do I mean by neutralizing? Like the lightness down, even the darkness up. So it's being neutralized, like everything is coming together until it turns gray. Alright, and then I'm just going to remain with this and then just group these and then just say BG background and then say okay. So once you have this, now let's add contrast and brightness and contrast, right? Just say contrast a bit like that and then brightness all the way down till somewhere here. Then let's neutralize it again, something like this. Yeah, something like that is it's perfect. Now let's add the information. All right, so we're going to start with the date. So the date, we're going to say okay, let's just go here and then just say open up a new layer or a new group and then just name it how you want and then just say foreground. So foreground, let's add the date. So the date, we're just going to drag this down here like this and then drag these anchors, I don't know what they call them. Yeah, just drag them like until you're satisfied. So if you don't have this feature, just leave it like that, it's okay, you won't die. You know, you still want the same thing. Just add white here and then let's remove the stroke. Let's say stroke out and then here drag it out, something like this, and then even on the other side drag it like so. So you're just going to remain with those and then let's change the color to something like orange, maybe something like this. Let's add the logo. We don't have the logo, so let's just make something on our own. We're going to call it Luma and then just change the font to something that looks like a logo, maybe this. Let's just reduce this. And then we should have something like that. And then let's just add these into smart objects so we don't disturb it so much. Let's leave it like that. So now let's add a line down here. So let's add a line. So just go here and then say shape and then add a line, something as thin as this. Okay, and then let's just remove the stroke and then add fill to white and then you're going to remain with something like this. Since we have this, now let's add the location here. Let's just change the fonts to something like Bebas and then let's set this to 0. Alright, we have the food and drink party club, party nights, whatever. So I just added this randomly. Right, you can add any information you want, but for me I'm going with this because this is not even a real club. Alright, and then just add that, drag it somewhere at the center here. Alright, so we're going to remain with something like this. Okay, okay, let's continue now. Let's add the person that she is and then just drag her inside here. Okay, so once she's inside here, just drag her out. So the layer mask is just working within here, so let's just increase it in size. So we're going to take this brush and then just paint everywhere. So let's just increase the opacity and then just paint here until something like this. All right, let's hide this. So let's now add the theme for the same club. So we're going to call it Heavens, maybe anything you want, anything you're working on. So let's just call it Heavens. All right, and then center it, increase the size, something like this, and then let's just change it to white so that it's more visible. We'll see it's clear. All right, and then drag it back, move it up, change the font to something you would love. So I'm going with something like, go with this font. All right, next thing we're going to do is here on the transformation, you'll find something like this. Click on this icon and then just change here to arc lower. All right, and then just drag this up. If this arc is not showing, just go here and something like this should work. All right, press OK. And then for me, this font is not working very well, so we're just going to extend this something like this, and then drag it down, and then you reduce the size to something like that. All right, and then move the logo on top, and then resize it a bit, something like this, and then all right, I think this is so far an achievement, because we're moving very quick. So let's add a solid color, and then just say black, and then go here on the layer mask, double click, and then say invert or Control T or Control I on your keyboard, and then choose a brush, and then just paint here below like this. Right, just paint it something like this. Okay, and then we should have a bit of dark. Let's add some few things to like add more details to this flower. So I was thinking maybe adding flowers, fake flowers, not real flowers, something like these flowers. All right, and then drag it up like that, group these flowers, and then these flowers, and then just say flowers, and then click OK on your keyboard, and then just start placing them where you want them to be. So let's just resize them to something very small like that, and then drag this, place it here. Now we're done with the flowers, and then you just say hide, and then double click on the flowers, add a very soft shadow beneath under the, and then just change the direction, something like that. Direction, something like let's just change the direction to down. So you should have something like, you know, it shouldn't be there, but it should be there, you know, like it's there but it's not there. Just adding up a little bit of texture to it. All right, and then just say okay, drag this down somewhere like here, and then drag this one down. Okay, let's just add now the glow to the borderline, and then group this. Don't work on this, just group it, and then say double click. Alright, so let's just say glow, and change the glow opacity, maybe increase it like that, and then change the glow to purple, and then just say screen, and then reduce the size. Let's increase this to something like that, the size. All right, and then change the color overlay, change this to purple, something like this purple, and say okay. So we have this line made, and then let's take this line here, and then let's also drag it in here. Also take this line, drag it also inside here, and then you have something like that. And then take these texts, change the color to this color. All right, and then you have something, okay, maybe make it lighter again, something like that. And then go on these two, change the color, and then just say here on the title, on the theme rather say, just change it, double click here, and then change it to yellow. We're going with yellow on the title, so yellow, the glow, yellow, and you should have something like that. Reduce the glow to something very small like this, and then also reduce the opacity to maybe 57. All right, and then Also make the drop shadow yellow like that, and then also reduce the direction to 0, and then the size a little bit bigger than the glow, right? So you should have something like that. So one thing I love doing is I'll just open up a new layer and then select the same yellow. I'd select the brush and then just choose this soft brush and then say click here once. Alright, let's just increase the opacity to 100% and then click here once. Change its shape to something like this and then something like this. Move it here and then say OK, and then reduce the opacity to maybe something like that. Okay, and then the stroke here, this stroke, change it to purple. I think purple is okay. In this case now, let's add the date and the time. So for the date, we're going with something like click here, and then for the date we're going with something like 25th March, and then drag this here, just change the color or just change the font maybe. Alright, firstly change the font to maybe this and then change it to black, and then increase the size something like this. Once that is done, also duplicate this on the other side and then just say 4 p.m. till something like that should be fine. And then even here reduce the opacity maybe, okay, something like that. If you want, you can keep the opacity and then just add the stroke. If you want, you can add the stroke. I'll add that stroke, and let's just bring back the opacity to something like this, and then drag this up where the text are, and then just take these text, drag them inside here, and then let's hide, and then we say this is the date and the time. So let's drag this down. Yeah, because the reason why I'm dragging it down because I want the shadow to be overlapping the date so that it stays more alive. Feel me? Alright, and then on here just click, open up a new layer, clip it in, take the same color and then click here and then choose a darker one like that, increase the size something like this, and then just paint here and then do the same to this side, just paint something like that. All right, and then change the color to white. I think let's just do something else. I think there's some changes that needs to be done. Something like, all right, something like this should be fine. Okay, and then add some glow, like just a little bit glow to the date and the time. Just say glow white, something like this, and then reduce the opacity somewhere like here, and then let's just place this centered well. At this stage now, let's add a drop shadow. So we're just going to say drop shadow black and then drag it all the way down till here. Reduce this and then just say here, and then something very soft, something like this. Okay, so once you add the drop shadow, group this and then say here. Maybe you can say act here or what, and then take that same effect there. The reason why we've added this effect on the group instead of the girl, so it's because, let me show you this. When you add another image inside, you have the same result. Now let's add the names and everything which is needed. All right, so let's say the names, Alana, okay, and then change the font to something very nice. All right, so we're going with this font. Let me just change something. All right, so let's just say here 100, okay, and here also 100 like that. Okay, center it and then make it bigger, something like this should be fine. Drag it up and then say hosted by, make it small like that, and then change the color to yellow. I think yellow should stand out more nice. Alright, something, I think it's not bad. I think yellow is just fine, okay? Just change this to this. And then at this point now, let's just add some filters that will help us to make it pop more. Alright, so for the filters I like color lookup. Alright, so color lookup, and then just change to anything you want. I think let's just pick this. So for color, just reduce this, drag it, duplicate it. I think I also want 3 stripes, so it gives us that reddish look, and then duplicate it again here, and then let's just change to deep blue, so the blue is not very prominent, and then duplicate it, and then let's just add crisp winter, and then we should have something like that. If you want, you can keep it like this, but I think this is fine. This is fine. All right, and then let's just add some contrast, a bit like that. All right, I think 3 stripe is a little bit too much. Let's track it down a bit like that. All right, so that's it. So that's how you make a flower like a pro. And once you reach this stage, you can now start grouping everything. You don't group everything while you're making, maybe you're running out of time. You can always group it at the end, but mostly when I'm working on something very special, I like making everything in order in advance. So let's just say filters. All right, and then group this to, okay, and then group it to line up, and then hide this, hide this, hide this, hide this, hide this, and then hide these, everything here, and then just say drag this inside, and then just say title like that, and then you should have something clean like this. Even if you want, you can like just say a logo. Alright, something like this, and then that's how you make a flower like a pro. So if you have any questions, please ask, and to subscribe for more. I think if you subscribe, it will mean a lot, and then I'll continue making YouTube videos like this, and then I'll be helping you guys in making something dope like this. Hope you like it, so peace out.